In my town, there was one rule, one that everyone, no matter how old or young, seemed to know by heart. Never, ever take the shortcut on Pine Road after dark. It wasn't just a warning, it was almost a superstition, whispered from one generation to the next. Everyone knew it. Kids, adults, even teachers. It was the kind of rule that united the whole town in silent agreement. They'd warn us with haunted eyes, as if remembering something awful. The legend? It was always told in hushed voices, as if speaking too loudly might make it real. At night, a house appears out of nowhere on Pine Road, glowing with a single porch light. No one could ever say exactly what it looked like, but everyone agreed it was there. Anyone who goes inside is never seen again. Some said you could hear voices calling from the porch, tempting you closer. It was the kind of story that made you shiver, even on a hot day. Even the bravest kids would walk the long way home. But I'm Leo, and I never believed in ghost stories. I thought the whole thing was just a bunch of nonsense. A house that only appears at night? Please. It sounded like something out of a bad movie. I figured it was just a tale to scare kids. Maybe it started as a prank, or to keep us out of trouble. Maybe there was an old house once, and the story just grew over time. Stories have a way of getting bigger with every retelling. I was sure there was a logical explanation for everything. I liked facts, not fairy tales. Ghost stories were for little kids, not me. I was too old to be scared by shadows and rumors. I'd laugh when my friends whispered about Pine Road. I like to act like nothing could faze me. It's just a story, I'd say, rolling my eyes. I never thought twice about it. I thought I knew better. I was sure I'd never fall for a silly old legend. I was certain nothing could scare me. I was fearless, or so I believed, but I had no idea how wrong I was. Sometimes the things you don't believe in are the ones that find you. Everything changed the night I broke the rule. That was the night I learned some stories are true. That Friday night, I completely lost track of time at Mark's house, caught up in the excitement of video games and laughter. The hours slipped by as we challenged each other, the glow of the TV our only clock. Suddenly, I glanced at the clock. It was almost midnight. I was already an hour past my curfew and panic set in. I grabbed my things and rushed out the door, desperate to get home before my parents realized I was missing. The main road would take 30 minutes, winding through quiet neighborhoods and empty intersections. I didn't have that kind of time. Not if I wanted to avoid a lecture and maybe even being grounded. That's when I remembered Pine Road, the shortcut everyone talked about but rarely used after dark. It would get me home in 10 minutes, cutting straight through the woods. But the sun had set hours ago and the shortcut was pitch black. My phone was dead. No way to call home, no flashlight, just me and the night. I was already in trouble, so what was a little spooky shortcut compared to facing my parents' disappointment? I laughed at myself for even hesitating, trying to shake off the nervous energy. I turned off the main road, headlights slicing into the thick darkness of Pine Road, the trees looming on either side. The trees seemed to close in around me, and the world behind me faded away, swallowed by the night. I told myself I wasn't scared, not even a little. I was just being practical, right? The stories about Pine Road were just that. Stories. Urban legends meant to scare kids. I pressed on, determined to prove there was nothing to fear, my heart pounding a little faster with every turn. The shortcut was just a road, until it wasn't. The familiar path suddenly felt strange, almost unreal. That's when everything started to change. The air grew colder, and shadows seemed to move just out of sight, and I realized with a chill that some rules exist for a reason, even if you don't believe in the stories. The moment I entered Pine Road, the world changed. The air grew cold, and silence pressed in. My headlights barely cut through the blackness. The trees seemed to close around me. I gripped the wheel, trying to ignore the feeling that I was being watched. Every turn looked the same, just endless, suffocating woods. My heart pounded as I wondered if I was lost. Suddenly, a deer leapt into the road. I slammed the brakes, heart in my throat. It vanished into the trees, but my nerves were shot. I told myself it was just a deer, but the fear wouldn't leave. I pressed the gas, desperate to get out. The shortcut felt endless, the darkness alive. I just wanted to see the end of the trees, but Pine Road had other plans. Just as I was about to turn back, I saw a warm yellow light through the trees. I slowed, confused. There weren't supposed to be houses out here, but there it was, a big, old-fashioned house, porch light glowing, exactly like the stories. It looked cozy, almost inviting, pushing back the darkness. I pulled over, staring in disbelief. The house was silent, still, and impossibly real. My mind raced for explanations. Maybe it was always here, hidden by trees, but it matched the legend perfectly. Part of me wanted to run, but curiosity won. I had to see for myself. I turned off the engine, stepping into the silence. The house seemed to wait for me. I told myself it was just a house, but deep down, I knew I was crossing a line, and there was no turning back. I walked up the gravel path, heart pounding. The porch light buzzed, moths circling. I hesitated at the steps, but climbed anyway. The door swung open before I could knock. An older woman stood there, gray hair in a bun, eyes kind but strange. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "There you are," she said softly. "We were starting to worry." I froze. How did she know I was coming? "I think you have the wrong person," I stammered. She shook her head, smile never fading. "Don't be silly, Leo." My blood ran cold. She knew my name. "You're not the wrong person. You're just late. Now come inside. Everyone is waiting." Against every instinct, I stepped inside. The door closed behind me with a heavy thud. The house swallowed me whole. I realized too late. The stories were true, and I was exactly where I shouldn't be. The woman led me down a dim hallway, the air thick with dust and old perfume. A grandfather clock stood frozen at midnight. I wanted to run, but my feet wouldn't move. We entered a living room filled with sheet-covered furniture, like lumpy ghosts. Everything was coated in dust, untouched for years. "We've kept everything just the way you like it," she said, her smile unsettling. How could she know what I liked? My eyes landed on the fireplace mantel, lined with old family photos. I stepped closer, dread building. The faces in the pictures looked familiar, too familiar. My heart pounded as I realized the impossible truth. I had to see them up close. I stared at the photos, kids, teens, adults, all with my face. The resemblance was uncanny, almost unnatural, as if time itself had simply copied and pasted my features onto every generation. Each photograph seemed to watch me, their eyes following my every move, silently demanding answers I didn't have. My eyes, my smile, my features at every age. It was like looking into a mirror that stretched back through decades, each image more unsettling than the last. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized how deep these roots went. The woman's voice whispered behind me, "Do you like them?" Her words slithered into my ear, making the air feel heavy and cold. Her smile was gone, her face cold. She looked at me with an intensity that made my heart pound, as if daring me to deny what I saw. "We've been waiting for you to come home." The words echoed through the hallway, bouncing off the faded wallpaper and creaking floorboards. Panic surged. "This is a joke, right? Those aren't me." My voice trembled, but the room seemed to swallow my protest, leaving only silence and dread. She shook her head. "You will know them. They're your family. This is your home." Her words felt final, like a sentence being passed. Whispers filled the room, voices from the walls. "Stay with us, Leo. It's time to come home." The air seemed to thicken with every word, the shadows growing deeper. The sheets on the furniture shifted, ghostly shapes moving beneath. I could almost hear the rustle of fabric as something unseen stirred. Cold hands brushed my arms, trying to hold me. Their grip was icy, desperate, as if they feared I might slip away. "You can't leave," the woman hissed. "You belong here now." Her voice was sharp, slicing through the darkness like a knife. Fear gave me strength. I shoved past her and ran, my footsteps echoing through the haunted halls as I searched for any sign of escape. The whispers grew louder, hands grabbing at me. I didn't look back, afraid of what I might see if I did. I ran for the front door, desperate to escape, my heart pounding so loudly I thought it might burst. The house seemed to close in around me, every shadow a threat. I would not become another face in a dusty photograph. I refused to let the past claim me, no matter how familiar those faces seemed. I burst into the night, sprinted to my car, and sped away. In the rearview mirror, the house flickered, then faded into nothing. Only the dark woods remained. I didn't stop until I reached home, locking the door behind me. My parents were furious, but I was just glad to be safe. I never told them what happened. Who would believe me? Days later, I drove Pine Road in daylight. No house, just endless trees. But then I saw a poster tacked to a tree, a missing person notice, with my face on it. Missing Leo, last seen entering the house. The date? 10 years from today. My blood ran cold. I realized Pine Road's rule wasn't just a story. Some shortcuts should never be taken, and some houses are better left unseen.